change in disability-friendly business, SOVs, and a visit with Fred Mills. Welcome to Lexington Now. It's the week of February 3rd, 2020. I'm your host, Neil Noah. New technologies and healthcare improvements have made it easier than ever for the elderly and those with disabilities to be active members of their communities. One area has lagged behind, and that is accessibility in businesses and public facilities. Jason Jones of the Commission for People with Disabilities talked with one developer who is ahead of the curve.
I'm Jason Jones with the Commission for People with Disabilities. I'm here with Chad Walker on Warehouse Block on the corner of Walton and National here in Lexington, and we're going to talk a little bit today about what Chad and his group have done to make the area more accessible for people with disabilities and for all citizens of Lexington, actually.
In an effort to make the neighborhood as accessible, friendly as possible, we've done several improvements that include adding ramps. We've altered the striping, or in the process of altering the striping. We've gotten with the neighborhood on such issues as not blocking accessibility lanes, as well as sidewalk, things like that. And yeah, it's just a kind of a continual process trying to make the neighborhood as accessible, friendly to ultimately everybody in Lexington, not just people that utilize chairs, but older people, mothers with strollers, etc.
So how did this come about? Did you see the need for accessibility? Did you visit other places? I know that you approached us at the commission and said, we really want to make this great, and have honestly gone above and beyond what you really legally had to do. What was your reasoning for wanting to make it so accessible and user-friendly for not just people with disabilities, but for everybody?
Sure. Well, when we originally began fixing up properties in the neighborhood, the American with Disabilities Act was still in its infancy, and as the neighborhood has changed, the accessibility requirements have changed as well. But what really prompted it was one of our neighbors who utilizes a chair called me and said, would you mind going for a ride with me today? And actually went up to his house, and he gave me his old chair. He took his new one, and we did a little ride across the neighborhood, and he kind of opened my eyes to things that you may not realize is a massive issue that someone in a chair is going to have a big problem with. And so yeah, he pointed out a bunch of stuff to it. We fixed some of those, and then kind of as a continual audit to the neighborhood, that's when we approached you guys to see what we could do even more.
What would you say to other developers or other people that have this type of property and businesses and that kind of stuff? What would you say if you had the opportunity to talk to a large group of them about how important that accessibility is?
It's hugely important, and it's such a simple thing to do. You're talking about, for example, adding a concrete ramp. That costs money. That's expensive. But once it's up, it's there forever. That's a capital expenditure that improves the value of your property, and it's one of the cheapest ways. It's not an air conditioning unit that goes out in 5 years, or landscaping that may die with the drought. This is something that's fixed for a very, very, very long time, and I don't really understand the argument against it. It makes no sense, and so that's kind of where we're at. Is some of the things we don't have to do, we still go ahead and do because, it makes sense in the long run. It improves our property. It allows everybody to access it and to become part of the business community, and it allows kind of the continuation of commerce. So it really, the argument against is so minimal that it just kind of evaporates to nothing.
Brett Smith sat down with a downtown restaurant owner, Mamadou Savin. Sav sat down before opening for the day to talk about his new restaurant on Main Street and how he got there.
My name is Sav, as everybody call me. This is my new location. We have a really nice food here. It's a comfort food. I always tell people my food is like home cooking. The excitement thing is my return customers are making a comment to say actually this new place it tastes better than the old place, which is make me happy. Nothing is spicy as people think. Ethnic food is always spicy. It's savory, it's good, and really come try. As you know, right now it's Thursday early. I think it's 10 o'clock. So, but we open about an hour, 11 o'clock. Our usual hours are 11 to 9, 7 days a week. I'm here every morning to get, prepared to open. It's a business. Every day it's a different day. So you open today, you hope for the best. Today is supposed to be, I think, 59 degrees. So we are really expecting to have a busy lunch and I'm sure a busy evening. So this is what we do every day. So the new address is 630 East Main Street, and this place used to be Subway. I think Subway was here for 10 years, but before Subway it was a pharmacy. I'm not sure how long the pharmacy was here before, but before the pharmacy also it was a gas station. This is back in 1940s. Being in business for 11 years, my old location in Limestone was getting really kind of tight. I was looking for a new location, but I really didn't know where. And it was just one day, I was driving by and I saw for rent sign in this building. And I talked to a guy, a realtor named Frank, who I was asking a question about how much is the rent and, why Subway closed. But somewhere in the back of my head, something told me to ask if the building is for sale. Frank said yes, the owner is interested to sell the building. So immediately I called my wife. I say, you can't believe what I just heard. I said, this building where Subway used to be, it's for sale. But it was not even it was just there for rent, not for sale. So I guess that day was my lucky day. Officially, I opened December 8th. So yesterday was about a month since we opened, and it's been exciting. First of all, before even we opened, when there were construction, people would always come in to see, especially in the evening, if their light on. People think we're open, so they came. Some even walk in, and also my customers from Limestone, they were shocked that I closed Limestone without announcing any, big thing. It's been really a great excitement, and the neighborhood, it's a great addition to this neighborhood, which I live, because I live like 10 minutes from here. I can walk, 10 minutes from my house to here. The way I grew up back home, it's all about community, it's all about neighborhood and stuff. So in our neighborhood, Victoria Avenue, we start this block party, which every September, neighbors get together and everybody gives some money, and I go buy ribs, and sometimes 80, sometimes 85 pounds of ribs, which I used to have a huge charcoal grill, and I put that in front of our house and grill for the neighbors. Starting that block party, that's where I think this whole restaurant thing started rolling in my head. I started thinking about it because people love what I was making. They always say, man, we wish we have something like this in Lexington. I wish this would be a place where neighbors can, come together, because you can be living in a neighborhood and not seeing your neighbor all the time, but having a chance to meet somewhere where, you come with your family and see a neighbor, it's like, oh, yeah, you guys are here, and, sit down. And I believe it's going to be a place where neighbors, I'm so excited because it's so different that having that option, I'm sure neighbors will enjoy that and will appreciate it. It is winter time right now, but I believe when the warm weather starts, it's gonna be great. Especially, I can see in the evenings people coming here because we serve food, we serve ice cream, which was my hope this past 5.5 years, to find a place where I can have both businesses on one roof. And thanks God that happened. But definitely I can see this place being a place where neighbors can meet and chat, and where kids are having fun, or even adults just, I can totally see that happen here. No one knows. You started and you go from there. But if you have a goal to say, I want to do this in life, and you believe in yourself and you believe what you want to do, I will encourage you to do it. You never know until you start. You know what I mean? It's by doing it, you will know. And so I will tell anyone, based on my own experience, just follow your goal, and it will come one day.
We talk the Oscars with Fred Mills when we come back. Welcome back to Lexington Now. We dropped into the Kentucky Theater, and manager Fred Mills shared his system for filling out the perfect Oscars ballot.
I'm here at the Kentucky Theater with manager Fred Mills for help filling out my Oscar ballot. I really want to win my office pool this year, so can you tell me a little bit about your system for picking the perfect Oscar ballot?
Well, I oftentimes just go with the films that we've shown here at the Kentucky Theater. In fact, this year, with the nominations for Best Picture, the Kentucky Theater has shown 6 out of the 9 films that are nominated.
That's it? That really works?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, the Kentucky Theater oftentimes brings films to Lexington that would never have the opportunity to play here if it was not for the Kentucky Theater. And an example of that is the 2020 Oscar-nominated short films. And we've been doing that for a number of years, and they're quite popular.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, you show a lot of maybe potential future Oscar nominees, right? Like local filmmakers? Right.
Yes, occasionally we get a call from someone that's just finishing up maybe a local film or a regional film, and these films go on to be taken around the country to various cities, and at the end of the year that they actually get picked up by a major distributor or something and have a major release.
Well, I'm sold on your expertise, so help me fill out my Oscar ballot. We're gonna skip the technical achievements because I don't care. So let's just get right into the best international feature film.
That would be Parasite. And it's not only nominated for Best International Film, but it's also nominated for Best Picture.
Best Director.
Bong Joon-ho.
For Parasite?
Yes.
Best Supporting Actress.
Laura Dern for Marriage Story.
And Best Supporting Actor.
Joe Pesci, The Irishman.
Okay. Leading Actress.
Best Actress, Renee Zellweger for Judy.
Okay. Leading Actor.
Best Actor would be Adam Driver, also for Marriage Story.
Okay. And finally, the big one, Best Picture of 2019.
Best Picture, definitely Parasite.
Parasite. Okay. Well, I think I have the perfect Oscar ballot. Now you know how to fill out your perfect Oscar ballot. And you can also catch future Oscar-nominated films 7 days a week here at the Kentucky Theater on Way Downtown.
We may be in the midst of one of the mildest winters in recent memory in central Kentucky, but it doesn't take extreme cold to pose a threat. Here are some tips to avoid hypothermia this winter. Like it or not, winter is upon us, and it often brings hazards like snow and ice. But there is another danger that is not as frequently addressed, and that is the cold. During especially cold weather, it is best to stay indoors. But if you must venture out, here are some guidelines you should follow to stay safe. Dress warmly in layered clothing, including a hat, a scarf, or knit mask to cover your face and mouth, sleeves that are snug at the wrist, mittens, a water-resistant coat, and water-resistant boots. Avoid exertion, as cold weather puts an extra strain on the heart. Those with heart disease or high blood pressure should follow their doctor's advice about shoveling snow or performing other activities in the cold. When outside, avoid walking on ice and keep your steps and walkways as free of snow and ice as possible. Be on the lookout for signs of hypothermia and frostbite, two common cold weather-related health problems. Warning signs of hypothermia, which is an abnormally low body temperature, include shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. If you detect symptoms of hypothermia, seek medical care immediately. Get the victim into a warm room and remove any wet clothing. Warm the center of the body first with an electric blanket if available. Otherwise, use skin-to-skin contact under loose, dry layers of blankets, clothes, towels, or sheets. Warm beverages can help increase the body temperature, but do not use alcoholic beverages. Warning signs of frostbite or an injury to the body caused by freezing include redness or pain in any skin area, white or grayish-yellow skin, skin that feels unusually firm or waxy, and numbness. If you detect symptoms of frostbite, seek medical care immediately. Get the victim into a warm room and immerse the affected area in warm, not hot, water. Do not rub the frostbitten area with snow or massage it, as this can cause more damage. Do not use a heating pad, heat lamp, or the heat of a stove, fireplace, or radiator for warming, as the frostbitten areas are numb and can be easily burned. These procedures are not substitutes for medical care, and all emergencies should be reported to a physician or healthcare provider. If you follow these simple rules and exercise caution, you can weather the worst winter has to offer and come out healthy on the other side when the warm breezes of spring start to blow. We've got several meetings to bring you live this week on Lex TV, and Chris Edwards has a preview.
Thanks, Neil. Just a few meetings to tell you about. On Tuesday at 1 p.m., we'll have the Council's Environmental Quality and Public Works Committee meeting. This week, there will be two presentations, one on street trees and another on the city's recycling efforts. The street tree presentation will give us a background of street trees in Lexington, as well as give us a description of the right tree in the right place. The second presentation on recycling will go into why China drastically reduced their acceptance of dirty or contaminated paper for recycling. This was precisely the reason Lexington had to abandon its curbside pickup of paper, and then later went to the large yellow containers placed around the city that will accept only clean paper. Following the committee meeting at 3 p.m. will be the usual council work session. Then on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. will be the formal council meeting. At the beginning of this meeting, there'll be 2 presentations and recognitions. The first will recognize the Kentucky Mr. and Mrs. Basketball Ceremony Award, and the second will recognize Miss Rosalind Akins in connection with Black History Month. Lex TV will be recognizing Black History Month by replaying the 2020 Martin Luther King commemorative program, which was held on January 20th inside of Heritage Hall. Check the Lex TV webpage off the city's main webpage to see the air times. That's all for this week. Be sure to check out Lex TV next week when we bring you lots more meetings and the meeting coverage. Neil, back to you.
That's all for this week, but as always, you can keep up with us on social media, check out the latest traffic updates on Twitter @LexRex, or catch our live traffic cams on LexingtonKY.gov. For all of us at Lex TV, I'm Neil Noah, and that's it for now.